So yeah, welcome also from my side to the 6th edition of Agents Unleashed, edition in Bangkok. I'm very happy to be back here. I've been part of mostly all of them, always invited as a sponsor via Phala network, but also as a moderator. And this time a very exciting topic with agents in DeFi. Definitely excited to have you guys as experts here on stage. My name is Zoe. I'm VP and partner at Phala Network. As I said, we are also sponsor and also partnering with Olas directly in tech integrations. And we focus on trusted execution environments, co-processor for AI. So more the infrastructure layer for DeFi. And however, we have a very diverse set of speakers here today, focusing on the different layers of a DeFi tech stack for AI agents. We have Michael here, co-founder of Almanak, if I pronounce it correctly. We have James from Mode here, Renç, co-founder of Giza, and Roshan, also contributor to Marlin, also a TE-based platform. And as I mentioned, like these experts really have or focusing on the different levels of tech stack within AI or DeFi, right? You guys are more focusing on the platform or training. We have applications layers or AI agent layers, and then also representing the security side from Marlin. Thank you so much for being here, guys. How are you doing?
Very well. Good, thanks.
Great, doing great. It was a very intense bike ride, but it was pretty good. Hope everybody enjoyed their ride as well. Just want to thank you all for making the trip. And I think as panelists, we will try to ensure that your trip was worth it, and we'll try to give you, tangible things to talk about when it comes to agents.
Exactly, thank you. And where did you drive from? How many minutes was it?
Emotionally, or it was a very long ride. It was like 35 minutes or so. It was worth it. It was worth it. Good to be here.
Cool. So mic check is working as well. Who of you guys have been to previous Agents Unleashed events? Yeah, cool. For everyone new here, welcome, and please enjoy and engage also in the discussions. If we have some time in the end, I think all the panelists are happy to take some questions as well. So the topic of agents in DeFi, I think it's the first time we are discussing this here at Agents Unleashed. Super important merge at the moment. DeFi, one of the most advanced industry within Web3. AI and Web3, of course, the trend and the most long-term standing wave here as well. If you can start, maybe James, yeah, also if you would like to... Michael, yeah. But if you also would like to give a bit more introduction again, what you're focusing on, and specifically how autonomous agents, we don't necessarily need to define them anymore. I think we saw that people looked them up a lot, but how autonomous agents actually can enhance what they can do for DeFi at the moment.
Sure. So, hey guys, Michael, co-founder and CEO of Almanak. So at Almanak, we are building a platform to build, train, and manage financial agents, especially the sophisticated one that's supposed to make us money. So we have a lot of quant tooling that allows people to basically build agents that perform. And how agents can help with the adoption of DeFi. So first we need to recognize what are problems of DeFi. And I think one of the biggest problems of DeFi is the complexity, how overwhelming it is. Fragmentation, we have different layer 1, layer 2, different chains. You have new exploit appearing every day, new protocol with a new opportunity appearing every day. And agents can kind of like, you can outsource everything of this, of understanding of what's going on in blockchain, of understanding what's new. You can also outsource to agent account abstraction. So basically, I am full-time crypto for 7 years, and I don't know what's going on anymore because it's so many things. So if we really want to embrace adoption to retail users, we need to give them something to integrate with, to interact with DeFi way easier. And that's going to be AI agents, because you can just tell the agent, hey, make me money, make me a saving account, make me a retirement portfolio. So I think huge, like everyone is talking about accounts abstraction right now. I think we don't need it anymore. Like AI agents are gonna do everything for us. So yeah, it's like the fastest way to understand, to process, and to just basically wrap your head around it is AI agents.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I think it's like the most significant or potentially the most significant UX upgrade that we'll see in a long time. I think that like a lot of products which simplify crypto, like vaults, are not really that interesting for users. Like Yearn vaults, they're cool, they work, they're secure, but they haven't seen like mass adoption yet. Whereas in TradFi, we see like ETFs and structured products having like a lot of adoption. So I think this is like a chance for crypto to see like, a huge amount of adoption into more structured products, which will be run by agents.
I think both Michael and James summarized everything pretty well. I think the problems of DeFi is very much apparent. The gap between DeFi's potential and complexity is very much there. If we pulled a random person on the street and show them the Pendle interface, I think they would freak out. And it is one of the best products out there. So I think that says a lot. I think zooming out, as you mentioned, Zoe, like DeFi is the biggest product market fit of smart contracts, probably the only one so far as well. And I think there is a bigger problem in Web3 when it comes to its usage, where currently like majority of the Web3 transactions, if not all, are somehow incentivized, somehow synthetically driven by point systems, by rewards, by all those things. But the agents don't really care about that. Agents don't really wait. Agents don't sleep. Agents don't, interact with those things. In return, what they do is they take smart decisions. What we want to do is replace incentives, an incentive-driven ecosystem with smart decision-making and smart decision-driven ecosystem to create like the organic usage that is going to be driven by agents. And I personally find it quite poetic and beautiful in a way, where a technology like blockchain is going to have its organic usage from machine intelligence rather than humans driven by incentives.
Yeah, I mean, I would second all of that. DeFi is a really fast-moving space, but somehow it's also quite sophisticated, right? And the combination of these two things is a scary combination, because it means that unless you really have a lot of time on your hand and you really get into the weeds of how different DeFi protocols work and all that, it's really hard to actually make sense of the DeFi space and what you can actually do in that, right? And if I'm saying that as a developer who works in the crypto space, who's actually gone through DeFi protocols and all that, like forget about the normies who are not even in Web3, right? They do not have a chance at like understanding the DeFi space and what actually goes on in the DeFi space. So to me, the primary role of agents in DeFi is about basically making it accessible to like people who don't really understand what DeFi is or don't really want to understand what DeFi is, right? And they probably even shouldn't understand what DeFi is. We just need something to sort of like package it all up and make it more accessible. And I see agents as sort of like the best way for us to do that.
Thank you so much. And we also touch a bit more from your expertise on the AI security later on, because
right.
we get to there. So I think it was a good introduction so far. I would start to keep it a bit more high level before we get into these deep dives. And asking also you guys as experts, what kind of services or actions would you actually outsource, or are you outsourcing already to specific agents, specifically for your DeFi task? Michael, you're laughing, but I would like to start with James, because you guys are actually focusing on also all these DeFi applications. So what you're doing personally, what you can see, and what's ready actually on these DeFi tasks to outsource to agents.
So I think like one of the tasks that a lot of people do that they rarely optimize correctly, or something that's like pretty inefficient, is like putting LP positions, especially for Uni v3 dexes. So that's something that like you can use an agent for. I think also managing yields across multiple protocols, like it's just annoying to continuously move like stable coins across 10 different protocols, 5 different protocols, takes time. Knowing when to take out staking rewards. So these are like they're not that complex, right? But they're things that take time, and you need to kind of be on top of them if you want to really optimize them. And yeah, that might mean like waking up in the middle of the night to do something. People don't want to do that. So it's much better to outsource to an agent.
Do you have proof of that people don't want to do it?
I mean, I was up till 5 a.m. last night messing around, so I guess I like it.
Perfect. That's the best proof to have. Michael, what's your comment on this?
Yes, so you asked like, what would I outsource there? Literally everything. Like every single financial interaction I would like to be run by an agent. So traditional space has agents. I hope you guys are not using traditional banking system, but if you do, usually you are being contacted by an agent that is telling you what you should invest into. And they are charging you hefty fees for that, which is a steal. So I believe the space is going to look similar. You're just going to tell the agent what is your financial objective, and agent going to figure it out for you. I agree with James. Like those are like the most, let's say, obvious needs. I don't want to check if my position in Aave is being liquidated or not, or if my USDC between all the layer 2s is the best layer 2 right now to make the highest amount of money. LP positions, same. Like the majority of LPs are losing money. If we can give them any sort of optimization that would allow them to make some money, I think we would have a great adoption in this part. There are tons of things. Literally, DeFi is so inefficient that literally everything's supposed to be outsourced, like to AI agents.
Yeah, I was going to say right now, like
Super
the amount of opportunity in DeFi is insane.
It is insane. I agree.
Like,
it is insane. People don't know about it.
Yields are very, very high. They're much higher than they should be, and I think it's also like a discoverability issue. Like people can't find, or they can't discover these opportunities very easily. So yeah, that's a big plus for agents.
That's great to hear. And now from you guys, more from the application and end user perspective, I would like to give it over to more the security experts. I mean, at Giza, you are also like focusing on the verifiable MLs, right? And we have also TE experts here to verify AI agents. How do you think you guys, the end user can already really trust a DeFi agent or even a trading agent? I mean, we give a lot of responsibility to these kind of tasks that you guys just described, also managing our own crypto. What are some approaches, or what is also your overall, where we're standing with this kind of trust in security for these agents?
Yeah, a great question, and agreed with everything that Michael and James mentioned. It's like a huge user flow that is currently, I think David also mentioned, like you need to take 13 steps from your intent to being able to use a DeFi protocol. So all of that needs to be like condensed. But while doing that condensing, there are some like non-negotiables in order to build a scalable agentic ecosystem, which is like, one, you process the intents. Two, you need to provide trust. And to me, how to define trust is that I trust a product that gives me incremental value over time without putting my funds into risk. That is the definition of trust for me. Three, as you're onboarding users to a new DeFi primitive, you need to automate, you need to optimize, you need to provide intelligence while still giving the user full control. So all of those things needs to be enabled by some sort of a stack. At Giza, we have built that stack, and it has a couple of Web3 primitives that are super useful. We have smart accounts and session keys that basically provide granular and high-level control bridge between the agent and the user. We have the agent logic that basically inspires the agent to take actions, and then we have verifiable computation, which is basically ensuring cryptographically that whatever the agent does, it stays between the realms of the rules that is set by the developer. And we have a decentralized execution layer to ensure that all of this is done without a central points of failure. I think like all of these things you need to provide in order to create this trust and this well-maintained product, and you need to have all three things. You need to be able to scale, you need to be able to secure, and you need to be able to incentivize. If you don't have one of these three things, the product is not going to be successful. You can have a scalable product with great incentives, but if it's not secure, it's going to fail. You can have a great product that is scalable and that has incentives, that is secure and has incentives, but if it doesn't scale, then it's going to fail. If you build a product that is secure and scalable, the incentives are going to be there naturally. So I think that is like the best path. That is the best path to take.
Thank you. And the verifiability that you just described is mainly supported by zero knowledge, right?
Yes. We use ZK. They use TE. But I think like regardless of what technology you use, the end goal is the same. Like provide trust, and this trust minimization is the end goal that we're moving towards.
Right. So there's sort of like two aspects to trust when it comes to like AI agents, right? The first and arguably the harder aspect is the long tail risk of an AI agent actually not doing what you intended it to do, right? So there's this problem of like explainability when it comes to the AI ML space, which is we don't really know why an AI agent does what it does, right? So there's a small long tail risk that it probably does something that you probably wouldn't want it to do, and that's a harder problem to solve. The easier and the other aspect of trust that's a little easier is ensuring that the AI agent that's running is actually the one that you want to run. Right? That's quite a basic aspect that you need to ensure, because you don't want your AI agent to actually get code that's written by somebody else running over there, because you actually need to know what's actually running in your AI agent, right? So the way we do that is, of course, using trusted execution environments. It sort of gives you a sandbox in which you can just drop in some AI agent, and it basically takes care of ensuring that the agent that's running inside is the one that you dropped into it, right? So the main goal here is to basically ensure that users have a way of like verifying what's actually running in an AI agent, right? Because let's say as a user, I'm going to an AI agent and saying, hey, I want you to make trades for me, right? I need some way of knowing what the AI agent is actually going to do. I need some way of like sort of auditing the behaviors of the AI agent, what it can do, what it cannot do, and stuff like that, right? And the way you ensure that is sort of by ensuring, the code that you put in there is the one that you wrote. You get something called as a report attestation that you can sort of use to verify what's actually going on inside the TE sandbox. Right? So yeah, essentially that's sort of how we think of like trust in these two aspects.
All right. Okay.
Can I add a little bit?
Please.
I'm actually surprised that you guys haven't mentioned like how these agents are actually going to be making money. It's like people in DeFi kind of don't care if it's centralized or decentralized, as long as they are making money. And I think this is one of the most important features to actually bring users adoption. We can have amazing tech, fully decentralized, permissionless, collaborative, and so on. But if it can't compete with guys in the skyscrapers from New York, it's going to be obsolete. No one is going to be using it because you're going to put the money there. Tomorrow, money is gone. Yes, I'm just surprised that it hasn't been mentioned. I think we need to focus first on building products that are attractive to make money. So you want to give people access to agents. This agent has to be able to outperform other protocols, other agents, and so on. I think this is the most important. And when it comes to decentralization, it might be very controversial when I say I don't think fully on-chain agents are going to be capable of doing that. There are a couple of reasons. They are predictable, so people can front run them. They are transparent, so you can bug engineer them. So if I were a hedge fund trader, the first thing I would do, I would try, okay, there's an agent that is managing some money. I know his strategy. I'm going to front run it. I'm going to attack it. So I think privacy is key here for those agents. Currently, I don't think there is a tech good enough that has latency and privacy to provide quantitative trading strategies, a good environment to basically be fed into the agents. That's what we are currently trying to build. And we think we are good at it. But yeah, I think this is very essential.
Yeah, I think the making money aspect is key. 100%.
It's the key, obviously, yeah.
And the way I see it is that, so if we look at the Mode user base, we have now around 400 mil TVL, 60 plus applications, and 20% of users are very advanced power users. And it's going to take a long time for them to adopt agents, because they can probably do a lot of this themselves very well, right? And they'll be using their own systems, and they'll be sitting in their skyscraper. And then we have the other 80% who we've looked at how the apps they use, the things they do on chain, and they make a lot of mistakes around managing risk, especially when they're using things like lending protocols. So I think really agents can initially help those people essentially have a mini hedge fund or a mini powerful much smarter kind of co-pilot in their pocket, right? And that's where I see a big unlock, because I think it's going to take a long time for agents to outperform the top traders, right? But it can help people like have a much higher kind of baseline for like the level they're at, right? In the same way that like ChatGPT has suddenly made everyone a much better writer and researcher, right? And agents can kind of do the same thing.
And it's centralized, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think definitely agreed. The reason the performance was not, I think, articulated explicitly was because the question was around like trust and security. Obviously, if the DeFi agent doesn't make money, then it's not a DeFi agent, right? But I think it's also important to understand in the products that are used in the financial world, in the fintech world, in the centralized entities as well, the great products don't need to make security explicit. And that's what I think is like the main thing we need to accomplish with the agent. Like the agent should be secure intuitively, and it doesn't have to yell it is secure, you know? And I think that's the kind of product that we are trying to build. Performant and secure and scalable is what we should go for. But yeah.
So, and where are we standing there as of today? This is actually a great representation. You guys more from the user adoption side. We need to build agents that make money for the end user. They need to be usable. You both are more from, okay, they also need to be secure and private. But where are we standing today to balance both of these needs, actually? Maybe if you want, because you tackle this problem at Giza as well, right?
Balancing both of those.
Yes.
Yeah, of course. I mean, like as we discussed, you need to provide a superior product to the current like pools and vaults in many ways. I think agents as a product is superior to those, because at least like the agents that we build, every person gets an agent. So you front run problems like honeypot schemes and liquidity inefficiencies and all those things. But yeah, it's important to have a balance, obviously, like performance and security.
Or let's break it down more simple, and maybe a question to you, Michael. The end user, is the end user at the moment, as of today, more interested to make a lot of money and doesn't really care about the privacy and verifiable of the DeFi agent? And will this change, or do we already see a big interest of verifiability and privacy? And these are two different things, right? Verify the actions or have them private. So, Michael.
If I can get back to the question, about like the perfect balance. Yeah. So, I think we need to start thinking about it like what the best players are doing these days that are not sharing their knowledge with us because they are making tons of money. So you want to have to start with them, okay, how they are doing it, yeah? And then we need to try to find a way how to apply it for all of us. So basically, you need to provide agents with a brain to actually be able to find the best way how to train the strategy, how to design the strategy, how to find the opportunity. And this brain has to be private. So this is where the alpha is. This is why agent is finding the alpha. So once the agent has the alpha, it has to be fully private. There has to be, so whenever the agent is deploying it on chain, no one can know what the agent is doing, because if people are knowing what the agent is doing, they can front run and the bug engineer it, alpha is gone. So this is when the privacy is very, very important. And I think no one would trade decentralization or like verifiability for this privacy, because this is the most valuable thing which all the guys in the New York skyscrapers are like, protecting, yeah? What we can focus on when it comes to decentralization, permissionless, or maybe not permissionless, is very important. So we need to allow people to get access to it without KYCs, without, like KYC is the most important thing. But how we can achieve decentralization, I think the blockchain space itself is decentralized. So what's the biggest value of blockchain is not the decentralization of intelligence, it's the decentralization of value. So as long as those agents are getting access to non-custodial wallets that only you and you have access to, and you are connecting the agent with this wallet, I think we have a perfect balance. Because we have intelligence, which is very valuable, and intelligence value decline with the number of people that having access to this intelligence. Yeah, financial intelligence doesn't scale. Financial intelligence is more valuable when less people have access to it. And we are getting value from blockchain, which is permissionlessness, and everyone has access to it. Yeah. So for me, this is the perfect balance. Maybe you guys disagree, but yeah.
Just want to add something. No, I think that is a very good point. It's also, I think, important to understand that it doesn't have to be one or the other. Like most of the trust instruments, like ZK, offers privacy as a default mechanism, but especially when you're building like a trading agent, when you have alpha, obviously, like you don't want to give the alpha away, right? And yeah.
ZK for now is a little bit too slow. It's still like because you need to ask yourself a question, like, is it a guy in New York with $1 billion that you are competing with? And answer is always yes. So as long as tech is not capable of competing with them, you are losing money. And ZK for now is nowhere here.
Yeah, it very much depends on the complexity of the computation. If you're running a simple, let's say a smart algorithm, not a machine learning model, or a statistical model that's like linear regression or boosts, ZK can completely handle that in a non-latent way. But we were talking with Jeremy as well. I think like value of verifiability increases as the complexity of the computation increases. You know, you don't need verifiability for deterministic outcomes, but you need verifiability when more intelligent decisions are coming into play, where there is a doubt, the outcome is not deterministic. But super good conversation and really good dialogue.
Yeah, very good. Thank you so much. It's not the AI security panel on DeFi, so let's move a bit more, but it's very good conversation. Let's move a bit more into the multi-agent ecosystem, which Olas also supports a lot. Super exciting that agents actually talk to agents, right? You can say AI to AI. And I want to discuss with you guys a bit more within the DeFi industry or like the market also, how this looks like or will look like for your products respectively. Maybe even thinking of if you guys, because you work on different tech stacks, could do AI to AI together, right? Maybe there are cool use cases coming out after this panel discussion as well. So what does AI to AI or multi-agent ecosystem looks like for you currently, maybe already that you implement, or going forward that makes even much more, many more DeFi actions efficient?
Yeah, so on Mode, like we want there to be all types of agents, and I think the key thing for agents is they have to be trained on like good data, right? If they have bad data, then they have bad models, and then they can't do much. So when it comes to like on-chain agents, you need to have everything on-chain, right? So if there's like weird incentive mechanisms that are off-chain, the agent might not be able to have that context. It might be difficult. So we've like, since day one, we've tried to make sure that lending protocols, everything is on-chain. You can understand the APYs, you can understand everything from just reading the on-chain data. So with that in mind, like we recently changed our token model to like a VE token model. And this VE token is used in governance. Essentially, users use a token to vote to where incentives go within the ecosystem. So I think what we hopefully will see one day is, my grand vision is like agents will start deploying their own smart contracts. Might even deploy like their own DEX or like their own protocol or their own like trading strategy, right? So an agent could deploy a strategy from either of these teams. And then it might decide to like deploy its own protocol and then vote in governance to get incentives to its own protocol and kind of like start to compete with builders. So yeah, I think stuff like that can be quite interesting. And yeah, with everything in AI, it seems like it's really far away, but it's probably not.
Right.
Any
As
other
you mentioned,
thoughts?
it's certainly important because like the multi-agent workflows pretty much mirror what the real world actually looks like, right? So traders in the real world are usually part of like a bigger unit. You have certain traders who are like more risky than others, traders who are more focused on like protecting the bottom line versus the top line. So different traders in the real world basically focus on like different aspects of the trade, and they are like experts at different aspects of the trade, right? So you sort of need something like that for like on-chain AI traders as well, where different AI traders sort of like focus on different aspects of the pipeline and basically are trained on how to be the best at different aspects of the pipeline, right? I was actually talking to a guy a couple of days ago who's building something interesting around, basically he has like a double agent model where one agent is sort of just figuring out what opportunities sort of exist in the DeFi space, right? It could be like in Uniswap, could be Aave, could be lending, borrowing, all of that. And he has like a bunch of smaller agents which are essentially focusing on, hey, given that this other agent has sort of told me go and do something like this, how do I actually execute that in the most efficient way, right? So we're seeing a lot of agents basically specialize in like different like points in the DeFi supply chain, and that also helps them like be more smaller, be more efficient, and like be way more faster, like which is really important if you want to build like a trading bot or something.
Okay, also a great use case. Before we wrap it up, are there any questions from the audience? Yeah, there are questions, and then we also summarize here again. Is there a microphone for the gentleman here in the first row? Please not.
Hiya, thanks for the panel, guys. Yeah, I was speaking to Renç about this earlier. I'd love to hear from the other members of the panel, since I know Renç's position on this already. We were talking about a spectrum of verifiability and where we might need verifiability and where we might not need verifiability, given that there are different trade-offs, which you discussed at length. I'd just be interested to hear from the other panelists where they see where verifiability might still be necessary and where it might not be worth the latency and the computational overhead.
Yeah, was very clear the question. Who would like to take it?
Depends what do you want to verify. Yeah, like I think when it comes to making money, speed and latency is the most important. And you need to have a system that verifies whether your strategy gonna make money. Yeah, and this is the only thing that you need to verify before actually deploying strategy.
So yeah, I remember that's something that you mentioned. You mentioned as long as there's a guy in New York and you're competing against him, and it could be like Claude, OpenAI, and they're making money. But let's say one day the agent behaves erratically and it hallucinates and it loses you money. Wouldn't you then wish you had some degree of verifiability?
Yeah, so I don't want to shield Almanak, but I think I have to. So in Almanak, we create environment for agents to train their strategy in close to reality environment. So basically, let's say you have a strategy on chain that trades, I don't know, meme coins, yeah? You have the strategies that have been designed, and before deploying it on chain, you need to test the strategy, and you need to train your agent to react and be prepared for every single scenario that market can witness. Yeah, Black Thursday events, exploits, I don't know, behaviors of arbitrageurs, behaviors of MEV bots, yeah? So what we provide you a cheap way to create, we are simply forking blockchain into the cloud, multiplying it 10,000 times, and allowing you to run these 10,000 simulations simultaneously in a matter of minutes. And your agent can train and react to every single scenario, in this environment. So when the agent is being deployed, agent already knows what it should do when something is going on. Yeah, so we do not verify, we train, so agent is prepared.
Do you have any other means of keeping things secure? Because
it's all private. No one knows what's going on there. It's just you. It's your private account. What people are knowing, what agent is actually doing when the agent is making a transaction.
Right. So at least in like the traditional finance and like the HFT space, we basically just have like hard floors on what traders are allowed to do. Right. It's like really simple floors. For example, they just say like you can't place trades which are like bigger than a certain amount, or you can't place your frequency of trades can't be too high, or they just have basically have like simple risk assessment and like model algorithms which are not AI, which are just simple. I could say you could kind of call it like an expert model. It's just basically a long list of like if statements, right? So and that's way more predictable than something like an AI agent that you would want to trade, right? Because to get a good trading agent, you would probably want your AI agent to be like reasonably large, and that also means that your AI agent is probably not going to be that explainable, right? You probably are not really going to know why your AI agent actually did something, especially in the cases where you're losing money, right? So I would say the best solution probably that is just put like hard limits, just write regular code, put some hard limits on what your agent is allowed to do, and just let it run like within like good parameters, more or less.
Okay. No more closing thoughts. Great question. Thank you. I think it's a very important topic. We can continue during some drinks and during drinks and food after this panel discussion. And yeah, I think it was a great in-depth discussion, really going into, okay, the verifiability, the privacy aspect, specifically in DeFi, because we trust these agents a lot of money and important actions to take. This is what we discussed in our DeFi AI agent panel discussion here today. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, James. Thank you, Renç and Roshan.
Thank you for hosting.
Of course. And if you guys have more questions to the panelists, I think you guys are around. Please check out their products, engage, and use more agents in DeFi. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.